Before I tell you how this same woman ended up sobbing on my doorstep 6 months later, begging for something only I could give her, hit that subscribe button and tell me in the comments, have you ever been rejected by a partner's family because of how you look? Because what happened next proved that karma sometimes comes dressed in hospital gowns. My name is Sophia. I'm 29 years old, and I need to tell you about the woman who banned me from her son's life because of my weight, and why she desperately needed me when her perfect world came crashing down. Marcus and I met at a charity 5K run. I know what you're thinking. What was a plus-size woman doing at a running event? Well, I was volunteering at the water station, handing out cups to runners. Marcus stopped not for water, but to compliment my vintage band t-shirt. The Smiths. Haven't seen that tour shirt in years, he'd said, barely winded despite having run 3 miles. You know the Smiths? I'd asked, surprised. Most guys his age, 26, fit, looking like he'd stepped out of a fitness magazine, didn't usually share my music taste. We talked for 20 minutes while other runners passed by. He didn't seem to notice or care that I was easily twice his size. When he asked for my number, I was sure it was a prank. Guys like Marcus didn't date girls like me, size 20, soft in all the places Instagram said should be hard. But he called that night, and the next night, and every night for a week until our first date. Marcus was everything I dreamed of but never thought I deserved. Kind, funny, intelligent, and yes, absolutely gorgeous. He was a physical therapist who spent his days helping people heal. He rock climbed on weekends, ran marathons for charity, had abs you could wash laundry on, and somehow, inexplicably, he was crazy about me. You're beautiful, he'd tell me, tracing patterns on my skin. Every inch of you. Don't let anyone tell you different. For 3 months, we existed in a perfect bubble. He'd take me rock climbing. I belayed while he climbed. I'd take him to underground concerts. He'd cook healthy meals. I'd introduce him to the joy of late-night pizza. We balanced each other perfectly. Then came the day he wanted me to meet his mother. Fair warning, he said, suddenly nervous. Mom's a bit particular. She has strong opinions about everything, but don't worry. Once she gets to know you, she'll love you like I do. I should have paid more attention to the way he couldn't meet my eyes when he said it. Patricia Winters lived in a house that looked like it had been ripped from the pages of Architectural Digest. Everything was white, chrome, and sharp edges. The woman herself matched her decor. Angular, pristine, not a hair out of place despite being in her late 50s. Her smile froze the moment she saw me. Oh, she said, that single syllable containing volumes of disappointment. You're Sophia. Mom, Marcus warned, but she was already scanning me from head to toe, her perfectly made-up face unable to hide her disgust. Marcus, darling, can I speak to you privately for a moment? She didn't wait for an answer, pulling him into another room. But houses with open floor plans carry voices, and I heard every word. What are you thinking? She hissed. Look at her. She's enormous. Is this some kind of rebellion? Are you trying to embarrass me? Mom, stop. Sophia is amazing. Amazing, Marcus. You're a physical therapist. You know what obesity does to the body. How can you promote health all day and then come home to that? She has a name, and I love her. Love? You don't love her. You feel sorry for her. Or maybe she's just easy because she's grateful for the attention. But love? Please. I stood in that pristine white living room, each word cutting deeper than the last. Part of me wanted to run, but a bigger part needed to hear what Marcus would say, how he would defend me. Mom, you're being cruel. Sophia is the kindest, funniest, most genuine person I've ever met. She makes me happy. Happy? You know what would make me happy? Grandchildren who don't have to shop in the plus-size section. A daughter-in-law I can take to the country club without people whispering. This girl... Woman, Marcus corrected. This woman is not part of the plan, Marcus. You're going to be a partner in the practice soon. You need someone who reflects well on you. Someone like Brittany, remember her? Pilates instructor, father owns that chain of gyms. I don't want Brittany, I want Sophia. Then you're not thinking clearly. This is a phase, Marcus. Like when you wanted to join the Peace Corps. You'll come to your senses. They emerged from the kitchen, Marcus's face flushed with anger, Patricia's perfectly composed. She didn't even pretend to be welcoming after that. Every comment was a barb wrapped in false concern. Sophia, dear, are you sure you want dessert? Marcus mentioned you're trying to be healthier. That dress is so brave. Not everyone can pull off horizontal stripes. You must save so much money not caring about fashion. How practical. Marcus apologized the entire drive home. She's not usually like this, he kept saying, but we both knew that wasn't true. This was exactly who Patricia Winters was, a woman who saw me as a threat to her perfect image of her perfect son's perfect life. The next few weeks were tense. Patricia called Marcus constantly with emergencies whenever we had plans. She'd text him photos of women from his gym. Ran into Brittany today. She asked about you. She'd schedule family dinners and specifically tell Marcus it was family only, no guests. The breaking point came at Marcus's birthday dinner. He'd insisted I come despite his mother's objections. It's my birthday. I want my girlfriend there. Patricia had made the reservation at the most exclusive restaurant in town, the kind where the portions were tiny and the judgment was large. She'd also invited Brittany without telling us. Surprise, Patricia said as the thin, blonde Pilates instructor approached our table. Brittany was free, so I thought it would be nice to catch up. You don't mind, do you, Sophia? I'm sure Marcos mentioned they used to date. He hadn't mentioned it. Brittany slid into the booth next to Marcus, immediately launching into stories about their past. Remember when we did that couples yoga retreat? Oh, and that time we ran the marathon together. Well, I ran. You basically carried me the last 5 miles. I sat there in my carefully chosen dress that had taken me an hour to pick, feeling invisible. Patricia and Brittany dominated the conversation, discussing fitness and clean eating and all the things that made it clear I didn't belong. When I excused myself to the bathroom, Patricia followed. Let's not pretend, she said, the moment the door closed. You know you're not right for him. You're holding him back. Marcus doesn't seem to think so. Marcus is too nice to tell you the truth, but I'm not. She stepped closer, and I could smell her expensive perfume. You're an embarrassment. Every time he's seen with you, people wonder what's wrong with him. Is he desperate? Does he have a fetish? Is he punishing me for something? Maybe he just loves me, I said, my voice shaking. Love? She laughed, a cold, tinkling sound. Honey, men like Marcus don't love women like you. They pity them, they use them for easy sex and emotional support until someone better comes along. And Brittany, she's better. You're wrong. Am I? Tell me, when was the last time he posted a photo of you two together? When was the last time he brought you to a work event? He's ashamed, Sophia. He's just too polite to admit it. The worst part was, she wasn't entirely wrong. Marcus had been hesitant to post couples photos. He had skipped bringing me to his company holiday party. I told myself he was just private, but maybe. Here's what's going to happen, Patricia continued. You're going to go back out there, fake a headache, and leave. You're going to break up with Marcus. Tell him you need to focus on yourself or whatever excuse sounds believable. And you're going to stay away from my son. And if I don't, then I'll make your life miserable. I'll tell everyone at his practice about you. Post those unflattering photos from dinner on social media. Make sure everyone knows exactly what kind of woman is clinging to my son. Trust me, dear. I have resources you can't imagine. I looked at this woman, this mother who claimed to love her son while trying to control every aspect of his life, and felt something I hadn't expected. Pity. You're a sad, shallow woman, I said quietly. And someday, you're going to need someone like me. Someone who sees beyond the surface. And when that day comes, remember this moment. I left the bathroom, made my excuses, and went home. Marcus texted all night, confused and worried. I didn't answer. What could I say? Your mother threatened to destroy me if I don't leave you. The next morning I did what Patricia wanted. I told Marcus I needed space, that things were moving too fast, that I needed to focus on my health. He was devastated, confused, kept asking what had really happened. But how could I tell him the truth, that his own mother had driven me away? Is this about my mom? He asked directly. Because if she said something... No, I lied. This is about me. I'm sorry, Marcus. You deserve someone who fits into your life better. You fit perfectly, he said, tears in his eyes. Sophia, please. Whatever's going on, we can work through it. But I'd made my decision. Or rather, Patricia had made it for me. I blocked Marcus's number, avoided our usual places, threw myself into work and friends and anything that didn't remind me of him. I heard through mutual friends that he was devastated, that he'd confronted his mother, but Patricia maintained her innocence. She left on her own, she'd apparently said. I told you it wouldn't last. 6 months passed. 6 months of missing Marcus every single day. 6 months of wondering if I'd made the right choice. 6 months of Patricia Winters getting exactly what she wanted. Then, on a rainy Thursday evening, my doorbell rang. I opened it to find Patricia Winters standing on my doorstep. But this wasn't the perfectly put-together woman from 6 months ago. Her hair was disheveled, her makeup smeared, her designer clothes wrinkled. She looked like she'd aged a decade. Sophia, she said, and her voice broke on my name. Please, I need your help. Mrs. Winters? I was too shocked to say anything else. May I come in, please? I know I have no right to ask, but please. Against my better judgment, I let her in. She sat on my couch, the one Marcus used to love napping on, and began to cry. It's Marcus, she said through her tears. He's sick, really sick, and he won't let me help him. My heart stopped. What do you mean, sick? A climbing accident 3 months ago. He fell, shattered his leg in multiple places. The surgeries went wrong. Infection, complications. He's been in and out of the hospital, and now... She took a shuddering breath. Now he's given up. The doctors say he needs physical therapy, needs to fight, but he won't. He just lies there saying there's no point. I don't understand. Why are you telling me this? Because it's my fault. The words exploded out of her. All of it. He was distracted during the climb, upset about you. He'd been trying to find you for months, hired a private investigator even. The day of the accident, his climbing partner said he kept talking about you, about how he'd failed you, how he should have stood up to me. She dissolved into sobs. This woman who'd been so cruel, so controlled, was completely shattered. After you left, he confronted me, said he knew I'd done something, said something. I denied it, but he knew. He's barely spoken to me since. And now, lying in that hospital bed, he keeps saying your name. The nurses told me. In his sleep, when the pain gets bad, he calls for you. Mrs. Winters, I was wrong, she interrupted. So wrong. About you, about what matters, about everything. I thought I was protecting him, but I was just a shallow, horrible woman who cared more about appearances than my son's happiness. What do you want from me? She looked up at me with red-rimmed eyes. Come see him, please. I think you might be the only person who can reach him, who can make him want to fight. You told me I wasn't welcome. You threatened to ruin my life if I didn't leave him. I know. She grabbed my hands, her perfectly manicured nails now chipped and broken. I know what I did. and I'll regret it for the rest of my life. But please, don't punish Marcus for my cruelty. He loves you. He's never stopped loving you. He has Brittany now. He never dated Brittany. Never dated anyone after you. He said..." She swallowed hard. "He said you were it for him, that I'd cost him his soulmate, and he was right." I sat there processing this reversal. The woman who deemed me unworthy was now begging for my help. "If I do this," I said slowly, "things change. You don't get to comment on my weight, my appearance, my worthiness. You don't get to make subtle digs or passive-aggressive comments. You accept me as I am, or you lose your son completely, because I won't let you hurt me again." "Yes," she said immediately. "Anything. I swear, Sophia. I've learned what really matters. When you're sitting in a hospital room watching your child suffer, you don't care about dress sizes or country club opinions. You just want them to be happy, and you made him happy. I need to think about it." "I understand, but please, think quickly. He's getting worse every day." She left her number and stumbled out into the rain. I stood at my window, watching this broken woman get into her expensive car, and felt the strangest mix of satisfaction and sympathy. I thought about it all night. Part of me wanted to refuse, to let her suffer the consequences of her cruelty, but a bigger part thought about Marcus, lying in a hospital bed, calling my name in his sleep. The next morning I called her. "I'll come, but on my terms." "Anything," she said, relief flooding her voice. Thank you so much." The hospital smelled like disinfectant and despair. Patricia led me through hallways that seemed endless, her designer heels clicking on the linoleum. She'd tried to put herself back together, but couldn't quite hide the devastation. "He doesn't know you're coming," she said as we approached his room. "I didn't want to, in case you decided not to." "I understand." She opened the door, and my heart shattered. Marcus, my vibrant, athletic Marcus, lay still in the bed. He'd lost so much weight, his face gone, his leg in a complex external fixator. He stared at the ceiling with empty eyes. "Marcus, honey," Patricia said softly, "you have a visitor." He didn't even turn his head. "Tell them to go away, Mom. I told you no more visitors." I stepped forward. "Not even me." His head snapped toward me so fast I worried he'd hurt himself. "Sophia." His voice was barely a whisper. You're here." "Hi, Marcus." "But how? Why? I tried to find you." "Your mom asked me to come." He looked at Patricia in shock. You? You asked her to come?" Patricia nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I was wrong, Marcus, about everything. I drove her away, and I'm sorry, so sorry." Marcus looked between us, processing this. Then for the first time in months, according to Patricia, he smiled. A small, fragile thing, but real. "You came," he said to me. "Even after everything, you came." Of course I came. Someone has to make sure you're doing your PT exercises correctly. Can't have you slacking off just because of a little broken leg. He laughed, actually laughed, and then started crying. "I missed you so much. Every day, every single day." "I missed you too." "I'm broken, Soph. Not just my leg. Everything's broken." "Then we'll fix it," I said simply. "Together, if you want." "Together," he repeated, reaching for my hand. "God, yes, together." Patricia quietly excused herself, but not before mouthing, "Thank you," to me. For the first time since I'd met her, she seemed to understand that some moments weren't about her. I spent the rest of that day with Marcus, learning about his injuries, his surgeries, his long road ahead. The climbing fall had been worse than Patricia had indicated. Multiple fractures, nerve damage, muscle tears. The infection had nearly cost him his leg. Even with perfect rehabilitation, he might never climb again. might walk with a permanent limp. I'm not the man you fell in love with, he said quietly as the sun set outside his window. I can't run marathons or climb mountains. I can't even walk to the bathroom without help. You don't have to. Stop, I said firmly. You think I fell in love with you because you could run fast? Because you had abs? Marcus, I fell in love with you because you saw me. The real me. Not my size or my weight, but me. And I see you. All of you. Broken leg and all. But your life. My life was empty without you in it. These past 6 months. I shook my head. Your mom did us both a favor, actually. She showed me that I was stronger than I thought, that I could survive losing you. But she also showed me that I didn't want to just survive. I want to live with you. He squeezed my hand weakly. I should have fought harder for us. Should have stood up to her sooner. I was a coward. We both made mistakes, but we're here now. That's what matters. Over the next few weeks, I became a fixture in Marcus's hospital room. I was there for every physical therapy session, cheering him on when he wanted to quit, holding his hand through the pain. Patricia was there too, a changed woman who brought me coffee exactly how I liked it, and never once commented on what I ate. The physical therapist, a no-nonsense woman named Carmen, pulled me aside after one particularly difficult session. He's trying now, she said. Whatever you said to him, keep saying it. He went from giving up to fighting in one day. That's because of you. He's strong. He just forgot for a while. No, Carmen said. He's strong because you remind him he has something to be strong for. The day Marcus took his first steps with a walker, Patricia broke down completely. Look at him, she sobbed. My baby's walking again, because of you. Because you came back despite everything I did. I came back for Marcus, not for you, I said honestly. But I see you're trying to change. That matters. I am changing, she said fiercely. I've been seeing a therapist, learning about my own issues with control and image and fat phobia. That's what it's called. I was fat phobic and cruel, and I nearly cost my son everything because of it. It was strange, seeing this woman who tormented me becoming self-aware. But I'd learned that people could change when faced with the consequences of their actions. Marcus's recovery was slow, but steady. After 2 months, he was released to outpatient therapy. The question of where he'd go was complicated. His apartment was a third-floor walk-up, impossible with his current mobility issues. He'll come home with me, Patricia said. I've had the guest room converted for accessibility. Actually, Marcus said, I was hoping to go home with Sophia. We all turned to look at him. If she'll have me, he added quickly. I know it's a lot to ask. I'm not exactly low maintenance right now, but I can't lose any more time with her. Patricia started to object, then caught herself. Whatever you think is best, sweetheart. So Marcus came home with me. My small apartment, which he'd always said was cozy and perfect, became our rehabilitation center. I rearranged furniture for his walker, installed grab bars in the bathroom, turned my life upside down to accommodate his needs. And it was the happiest I'd been in months. I love you, he said one evening as I helped him with his exercises. I loved you before, but now I understand what love really means. It's not about the easy times, it's about showing up when everything's hard. Like you showed up for me when your mom was awful. He winced. I should have done more. Should have cut her off completely until she accepted you. We can't change the past, only learn from it. Patricia visited daily, bringing groceries, helping with laundry, doing whatever we needed. She was different now, humble, helpful, genuinely kind. One day she brought photo albums. I wanted to show you something, she said, flipping to pictures of herself as a young woman. This was me at 25. The woman in the photos was heavier, softer, happier looking than the angular Patricia I knew. I was a size 14 when I met Marcus's father, she continued. He told me I'd be perfect if I just lost a few pounds. So I did. Then a few more, then a few more. By the time Marcus was born, I was obsessed with being thin, with being perfect. I passed that poison on to him, made him think appearance was everything. Why are you showing me this? Because I want you to understand that my cruelty came from my own pain. Not that it excuses it. Nothing excuses how I treated you, but I spent 30 years hating my body, starving myself, judging others because I was terrified of being judged. And what did it get me? A son who nearly died because I drove away the woman he loved. She pulled out another photo, Marcus as a baby, Patricia holding him, both glowing with joy. This is what matters, she said. Love, family, connection, not the size of someone's jeans. I forgot that for too long, but I swear to you, Sophia, I'll never forget again. It was the closest thing to a real apology I'd gotten, and somehow it was enough. Marcus's recovery continued. Good days and bad days, progress and setbacks. Through it all, our love deepened. We weren't the same couple we'd been before. We were stronger, more honest, more committed. 6 months after the accident, Marcus was walking with just a cane. His leg would never be the same, but he'd adapted. He'd returned to work part-time, focusing on patients with traumatic injuries. I understand their journey now, he said. One evening, Patricia invited us for dinner. The same dining room where she'd once made me feel unwelcome now felt different. She'd cooked my favorite meal, information she'd quietly gathered over months, and the conversation flowed easily. I owe you both an apology, she said over dessert. A real one. Marcus, I tried to control your life because I was terrified of losing control of mine. Sophia, I saw you as a threat because you represented everything I'd been taught to fear. Being larger, being judged, being seen as less than perfect. I was cruel and shallow and wrong. Mom, Marcus started. Let me finish. I've joined a support group for parents who've damaged relationships with their children. I'm working on myself. And Sophia, I want you to know that when I look at you now, I don't see your size. I see the woman who saved my son, who loved him when he was broken, who showed more grace to me than I ever deserved. I see my future daughter-in-law, if you'll have me as a mother-in-law. Marcus dropped his fork. Mom, did you just... Oh, hush. We all know you're going to propose. You've been carrying that ring around for weeks, thinking you're subtle. I turned to Marcus, who was blushing furiously. You have? I wanted to wait until I could kneel properly, he admitted. But since Mom's blown my cover, he pulled out a small velvet box, managing to lower himself to one knee despite his leg. Sophia, you've seen me at my worst and loved me anyway. You've shown me what real strength looks like. Will you marry me? Will you be my wife and my hero and my everything? Yes, I said through tears. Yes, of course, yes. Patricia cheered louder than both of us, then immediately started planning. Small wedding or large? Spring or fall? Oh, we'll need to find a venue that's fully accessible. Mom, Marcus laughed. We just got engaged 5 seconds ago. Right, I'm just excited. My son is marrying the best woman I know. The wedding was small, intimate, perfect. Patricia walked me down the aisle. My own parents had passed years ago, and she'd asked for the honor with tears in her eyes. Let me give you to my son properly this time, she'd said. Marcus stood at the altar with his cane, looking at me like I was his whole world. In my size 20 wedding dress, which Patricia had helped me choose, insisting I looked like a goddess, I felt beautiful. Not despite my size, but in it, as it, because of it. In his vows, Marcus said, "They say love is blind, but that's wrong. Love sees everything and chooses to embrace it all. Sophia, You saw me broken and chose to help me heal. You saw my family's flaws and chose forgiveness over bitterness. You see me, really see me, and somehow still choose me every day. I promise to see you just as clearly, to choose you just as fiercely for the rest of our lives. Patricia cried harder than anyone, mascara streaming down her face as she watched the son she'd almost lost marry the woman she'd almost driven away. At the reception, she gave a speech that silenced the room. 6 months ago, I told Sophia she wasn't welcome in my home. It was the cruelest, most shameful thing I've ever done. I thought I was protecting my son, but I was only protecting my own shallow prejudices. Sophia, you had every right to refuse when I came begging for help. But you didn't. You showed up for Marcus, and in doing so, you taught me what love really looks like. It's not about perfect bodies or matching societal expectations. It's about showing up, especially when it's hard. Thank you for saving my son. Thank you for saving me from my own ignorance. And thank you for becoming the daughter I never knew I needed. There wasn't a dry eye in the room. 2 years later, I was back in a hospital room, but this time for a very different reason. Marcus held my hand as I labored with our first child, Patricia coaching me through contractions with the fierce determination of a woman who'd learned what really mattered. "You're doing amazing," she kept saying. "You're so strong, the strongest woman I know." When our daughter arrived, healthy, perfect, screaming, Patricia was the first person we let hold her after us. "What's her name?" she asked, tears streaming down her face. "Grace," I said, "because that's what saved our family. Grace and second chances." Marcus, now walking with barely a limp, kissed our daughter's head. "She's perfect, just like her mama." "All babies are perfect," Patricia said firmly, "and she'll grow up knowing that. She'll know that bodies come in all shapes and sizes, that worth isn't measured by weight, that love sees past the surface. I'll make sure of it." And she did. Patricia became the most body-positive grandmother imaginable, shutting down anyone who dared comment on appearance around Grace. She volunteered with eating disorder organizations, sharing her story of transformation. She became, in many ways, the mother I'd never had. One day, when Grace was 3, we were at the park when a woman approached Patricia. "Excuse me," she said hesitantly. "Are you the woman from that viral post? The one who rejected her son's plus-size girlfriend and then learned I was a shallow, cruel fool?" Patricia supplied. "Yes, that's me. My mother-in-law is the same way. She says horrible things about my weight. My husband doesn't stand up to her. I don't know what to do." Patricia looked at me, then at Grace playing on the swings, then back at the woman. "Show her this," she said, pulling out her phone to a photo of our family. "Tell her this is what she's risking. Tell her that one day she might need the very person she's rejecting. Tell her that I spent years valuing the wrong things, and it nearly cost me everything. And if she doesn't listen, then you and your husband need to decide if toxic people deserve space in your lives, regardless of blood relations." The woman thanked her and left, and Patricia turned to me. "I hope she's braver than I was. I hope she doesn't wait until disaster strikes to see the truth." "You see it now," I reminded her. "That's what matters." "Because you showed me," she said, "even when I didn't deserve it." That night at dinner, a regular occurrence now, our families fully blended, Grace climbed onto Patricia's lap. "Grandma, tell me the story again." "Which story, sweetheart?" "The one where you were mean to Mommy but then said sorry and now you love her mostest." Patricia laughed, but her eyes were serious as she looked at me. "That's right, baby. Grandma was very mean to Mommy because Grandma was scared and silly. But Mommy was brave and kind, and she taught Grandma how to really love people. And now you love Mommy mostest." "Mostest in the whole world," Patricia confirmed. "Just like I love you and Daddy. Real love doesn't care about size or shape or any of those silly things. Real love cares about hearts. My heart is big, Grace announced. The biggest, I agreed, catching Patricia's eye. We shared a smile, two women who'd found their way from cruelty to kindness, from judgment to acceptance, from broken to whole. Later, as Marcus and I tucked Grace into bed, she said sleepily, "Mommy, I'm glad Grandma was mean to you." "Why's that, baby?" "Because then she said sorry and now she's the best grandma ever. Sometimes people gotta be wrong first to learn to be right." Out of the mouths of babes. That night I found Patricia on our porch, looking at the stars. "Thank you," she said without turning around. "For what?" "For Grace, for Marcus, for forgiveness, for showing me who I really was and giving me the chance to become someone better." She turned to face me, this woman who'd once banned me from her home. "You saved us all, you know. Your grace, your strength, your refusal to let my cruelty define your worth. You saved us." "We saved each other," I corrected. "That's what family does." And that's what we were now. Family. Not perfect, not without our history of hurt, but real. Patricia had learned that love wasn't about meeting certain standards or fitting into specific molds. It was about showing up, especially when you'd failed before. It was about growth and change, and the radical act of seeing people for who they truly are. The woman who'd once said I wasn't welcome had become one of my fiercest advocates. The man who'd lost me because he couldn't stand up to his mother had become someone who'd choose me over anyone. And me? I'd learned that sometimes the greatest revenge isn't cutting people off. It's showing them what they nearly lost and watching them transform in the face of that knowledge. Patricia Winters had cried at my door, begging for help she didn't deserve. And in helping her, in showing grace when I had every right to show spite, we'd all found something none of us expected: redemption, healing, and a love that saw past every surface to the heart beneath. My name is Sophia. I'm a size 20. I'm a wife, a mother, a daughter-in-law, and proof that sometimes the people who hurt us most can become the ones who love us best, but only if they're willing to do the work, and only if we're strong enough to let them try. That's our story, messy and painful and ultimately beautiful. A story of how you're not welcome became your family, and how the woman who tried to ban me from her son's life became the grandmother who'd fight the world to protect mine. Love really does conquer all, but sometimes it needs a little help from forgiveness, growth, and the kind of grace that transforms rejection into redemption. What would you do if someone who rejected you came begging for help? Would you show grace or shut the door? Tell me in the comments below. And remember, sometimes the people who hurt us most are fighting their own battles with self-worth. That doesn't excuse cruelty, but understanding it can lead to healing. Subscribe for more stories of transformation and redemption. And share this with anyone who needs to know that rejection isn't the end. Sometimes it's just the beginning of a more powerful story. Next week, I'll share what happened when a bride's future sister-in-law tried to sabotage her wedding dress fitting. The revenge was absolutely perfect. Until then, remember, you are worthy of love exactly as you are, and anyone who can't see that might just need their eyes opened, sometimes in the most unexpected ways.